Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of What a Hell of a Way to Die. It's Francis again. New year, and as you can see, we've made so many changes. The microphone is on the other side. It was over there, now it's over here. It's still in front of me, but the arm has moved. So a lot of big changes happening around here. There's going to be some other changes we're going to talk about with the podcast. Nothing major or drastic. Nothing, oh my God, my content. Nothing like that. We're going to make some adjustments to releases. Since, I'm doing these on a regular basis, you're going to be getting these pretty much every week. These kind of fill-in episodes where I put these up on YouTube as well. So if ever you're just like, wow, I wonder what it looks like when Francis is talking to me directly staring into a camera for 45 minutes to an hour, go on over to the YouTube. You can find all of that out. Excuse me. So it's been a minute. I took New Year's off. Christmas, New Year's off. I get it off for my regular 9-to-5 job. I kind of took it off for all of this. Had a very good holiday. Last year, a pipe broke in our kitchen on December 23rd, and on December 26th, myself and my daughter both contracted the flu. So, years after that, years before that was all the COVID years. Having like a good week plus, a good 10 days to really sit and relax and just spend time with the family. I spent time working on art projects and stuff like that because I want to do more of that this year. Doing art painting and the signs that I make. I go, if you don't know, one thing I like to do is go to secondhand stores and buy all those like goofy signs that your mother-in-law picks up at Joann or whatever that says, wine about it. And it's got a glass of wine. I take that, I use an orbital sander, and I sand all that shit off, and then I paint it, and then I put something else on it. The one that I've been doing a lot lately is the Dick Gun Coffee Company, and so those mugs will be coming out soon. I don't have them. I don't have one here because I haven't fully put them all together. I've got everything cut out and ready to go. But resurrecting, I got a bunch of these really great travel mugs for fairly inexpensive. So I picked up a bunch of those, and I'm going to have limited edition Dick Gun Coffee tumblers to take with you to work, and then get an HR complaint filed against you. So that's a lot of the happenings that I have kind of happening around here. Like I said, there are going to be some other changes. We're going to start releasing, when I do interviews with people, we're going to start releasing those on the Patreon first, and then it will come out on the free stream like after a week or so. But I'm wanting to add more stuff to the Patreon, kind of give the people who are, because I've been lacking a lot, and I know I have, and so I would really love to know, what kind of things do you guys think would be something that you would want to see from the Patreon, like. So at the $10 level, I have those care packages that I send out, and those are fine. A patch and a couple of stickers. I've been doing that for a long time though, so I want to kind of freshen it up and see what else we can do. Maybe, like a sticker of the month club, or I don't know. Still brainstorming a lot of this stuff. I was thinking of going back into writing, but I feel like podcasting is really the medium that I'm going to be most comfortable with. When I write, it takes a lot of time and I get very distracted. The great thing about doing this is I have nothing to distract me right now. I don't have a chat up. I don't have Twitter up. I don't have my phone in my hand. As you can see, I'm talking directly at the camera. Sometimes I will be looking at web pages while we're doing news stuff, but this is a great way for me to be able to get out the information and get out the things that I have going on, and getting the interviews that I want to do in a way that isn't the writing medium. Because God, it just doesn't work for me anymore. It used to. Maybe I'll get back to it, but writing was really the art that I did a lot of in my 20s, and kind of in my 30s, my art was drinking, which is what a lot of authors do, but I didn't do both of them at the same time. I just did the drinking, so I may have lost a little bit of it. I know if you do know, I do have a couple of articles at Task and Purpose from a long time ago. And I have no hate on Task and Purpose. You will see I bring Nick Slayton on all the time, and I use their articles for fodder quite often. But I haven't written for them in a while. I haven't really felt compelled to. I just haven't had anything sticking in my brain that needs to come out in that kind of way. I really enjoy doing interviews. I like talking to new people. I like listening to people's stories. One thing I'm really going to try, I wanted to do this last year, but December being December, that last month, last holiday month is always kind of hell on wheels. But my father is 82 or 83 now, I believe. Great son that I am. No, he's 82 or 83. His birthday is not until July, so that's when we'll do it. He's 82. I can do math. I can figure it out. But he's 82. Still a very sound body and mind. He volunteers at the Science Center every Monday. Everybody there knows him. My wife and kid are at the Science Center all the time. It's our daughter's, like one of our daughter's favorite places. So my father works there as a volunteer. My father has been a gardener, since before I was born, and been into community gardening and things like that. So there's a lot of stories there. And I was always a little sad I didn't get my grandfather, John, who fought in World War II. I feel like if he was alive now, he would, first off, he'd be well into his hundreds. So we wouldn't really want that. But if he was alive now, the stories, I feel like I would be able to probably get some of the stories from him, maybe. Like, I was always told he didn't talk much about it. And I know that for a lot of World War II people, they definitely didn't want to talk about it after the war, like right after the war. They didn't really want to, and then they just kind of bottled it up, and that was just it. Like, there was no, it just wasn't talked about because we didn't want to talk about it. And I know there's a lot of stories that my grandfather had about World War II. He was shot down. Like, he was a navigator on a bomber. He's been shot down, I think, twice. One time behind enemy lines. From what I understand, he had to get back. Like, he was shot down in Belgium and had to get back on Allied lines and everything. That's the rumor. That's rumor that I heard from my sister. And you know how family rumor goes. Sometimes it's true. A lot of times there's a big shovel of bullshit on top of it. But Grandpa John had a lot going on. My father does as well. He was deployed. He was in the National Guard. He was deployed to Kansas City during the civil rights riots, and he's an engineer. He worked on nuclear stuff. He worked for the government as an engineer forever. Like, he built shit constantly, or at least designed it. But he knew how to build shit. Like, he really knew. A lot of the reasons I know the basics that I do know is because of my father. So I want to get him on. I want to talk to him and start getting his stories down. Just to have that record for myself, but also my father is a very smart and very funny guy, and politically very left leaning. He watches like NBC nightly news. He does not have cable. He's never had cable, so he's never been poisoned by cable. He listens to a lot of NPR. He's that kind of liberal, but also very left leaning in a lot of ways. So politically, he's great. We're not going to have any problems there. It's not going to be, the boomer dad is on and we're about to hear some slurs. No, my dad was great. So yeah, we're going to see where all that goes. We're going to see what we can manage to do. I've got a little vacation in January, in the middle of January, and just finding time and stuff like that. And I'm trying not to do, cats in the cradle and the silver spoon. Yeah, I know. Let's get into the news. All right, no more late night alcohol sales at AFE stores starting January 1st. This was in Army Times, but this is also kind of in a lot of different places. So alcohol sales. This is, let's see, the best way to describe alcohol in the Army is that there's a reason why it's a trope. So this specifically is for late night alcohol sales at AFE stores from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. And I know that there are some states, like I swear, every time I drive to a new state, and I don't drink anymore, so I'm not that, it's not that concerning for me any longer. But before I went to Iraq, I was in Fort Dix, New Jersey for all of our processing that we're going to go out and do war. So this is where we're going to learn how to do war good at Fort Dix. I did not learn how to do war very well, but I survived. So I did all right, I guess. So we got a 4-day go and I wasn't expecting the 4-day pass, so I didn't have any like plans to go back home. And it was only 4 days, like go back to St. Louis and like go hang out with my girlfriend, who at that point is already kind of just like, all right, you're gone. We'll see how long this lasts. God bless her, man. She hung on for a while, but certainly not forever. And no, I do not blame her. So anyway, alcohol sales. So I went to Pennsylvania. If you live in Pennsylvania, you already understand. Or maybe you've never been outside of Pennsylvania, you don't know how alcohol is done in other places. Because like in Missouri, strangely enough, in Missouri, we're very, open about booze. You can buy beer at gas stations, which I do constantly. When I went to Pennsylvania, I found out that I could not just go into any gas station and buy alcohol and, be that guy who's like 24, 25 years old, wandering around at like a 7-Eleven at like, I think it was like 8:00 at night. I had gotten into Philadelphia, and I was staying over, and I was gonna go up to Centralia the next day, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go get some beers, and you can't just walk into a convenience store and buy beer, and having to be explained like, no, you have to drive 1.5 miles away to this like store run by the state that sells booze, or you can go to the bar and buy a 6-pack, which also made no sense. But the beer is cheaper if you're going to take it to go. So I don't know. Every state's got some weird laws. With AFES, they also have their own, their alcohol sales are pretty much nationwide because they're not bound by, state, whatever the state laws are. They're federal. They're kind of their own thing. Of course, they adhere to laws, but, they don't have to necessarily be like, closed down. Some places don't let you buy booze at all on Sundays. AFES doesn't have to do that, but sorry, I'm rambling a lot. So no more of this late night sales. Now the article says that really like only like less than 1% of total alcohol sales last year at 161 stores had any alcohol sales between 10 p.m. and 6, and that makes sense. The beer run, the late night beer run, is really something I don't know. Again, I'm 40, so a late night beer run for me was 20 years ago. We didn't even have Tinder back then. So what did any of us know how to do? But you could, in some places, you do the beer run, BWERRUN beer run. You get into your shitty Toyota Corolla hatchback with 7 of your friends. You go down to the the Quick Trip, the 7-Eleven. You buy a 30 rack of Natty Light because you make great decisions and all of your friends are about to make some other great decisions. Usually, though, you should be able to like mentally calculate how much booze you need for the evening, because having to do the late night beer run really fucking sucks. Nobody wants to do it. And let's be honest, like our drinking culture 20 years ago probably was just like, yeah, let's get in. I mean, there's a whole Urge song about going to the liquor store drunk as shit. So that was St. Louis, and I'll link that down there because I love that song. So there's a lot of culture there for that. I don't really see this being that big of a deal. I think soldiers have learned to get all the beer you need to begin with. Like, beer doesn't go bad. Like, not in the way that a fucking 21-year-old private drinks it. It doesn't go bad. Like, certainly I wouldn't drink a 10-year-old beer, but there's not a beer that's going to survive 10 years in Private Snuffy's refrigerator. So not only with this though, if you're not aware. There's a special beer, there's special alcohol. It's military special. This is the military special, has been kind of a military meme for a long time because it is the most bottom shelf plastic bottle, garbage ass shit that you can buy. That bottle there, when I was in the Army, cost you under $10. if you want to get that bottle of Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey Military Special. Yes, they have gin, they have vodka, and they have Military Special tequila. From what I understand, I'm not that big of a whiskey drinker, and when I do, it's like I drink good whiskeys, not because I'm a snob, but because it's the only whiskey that I can enjoy. The rest, like this bottom of the barrel shit, that's what you mix up with your Coke. I think there's Military Special rum too, if you really want to do that. But this was some of the most god awful shit that you could pick up. Like I said, plastic bottle, because your drunk ass is going to drop it at some point. So luckily, it's just going to bounce off the ground, and then you go back, and then you and all your friends make terrible decisions for the rest of the night. I don't know. I wonder how much it costs these days, but I like, you can see Military Special. It's got the little anchor. It's got the airplane, a tank, and then I don't know who this is. So, I mean, the airplane, I guess, could be Navy. Airplane meets a jet, so it's not the Air Force. Maybe this guy down here is the Air Force. Navy, Marines, Army, because the Marines ain't got tanks anymore. And then these guys down here, the Air Force, just the guy who's just kind of standing there. Highly recommend you and your buddies get a bunch of Military Special and make some terrible decisions together. It certainly will get you to where you're going. And you're not drinking this because you and your friends are like, we are connoisseurs, we are people of good taste, and we are the ones who truly, feel the light of this world, and that's why we drink $9 bottles of rot gut. That's not you and your buddies. That's okay. Now, next up, The Rock. The Pentagon thinks The Rock can fight lagging military recruitment. Now, I had to ask my wife about this one because I know who The Rock is, obviously, and I feel like most people in like the United States probably know who The Rock is, right? Like, I didn't really. I was like, is he really all that relevant? Like, because he's in wrestling and he's in action movies, right? And the wrestling is these days fine. It's not the wrestling of the 90s, and that's fine. It's not the 90s anymore. But it's also the movies he's in are also. I mean, they're a very particular kind of movie. The Rock is very funny. He can do comedy pretty well. I liked him in Jumanji, and of course, we watched the Jungle Cruise one. He's fine. He's funny. He's a big guy. He's a big guy that's funny. It works out. I am confused as to how this is supposed to make people want to join the military. And I say this because keep in mind, the Army really bonered up the whole be all that you can be, right? Like they were coming back with that hot. They came back, they're like, yes, we're going to be all that we can be. We're going to go back to our glory days. They've already taken the dress uniform back to the old pinks and greens, right? So we're regressing to when things were cooler in the Army because we realized as we moved on and we said Army strong, we're like, that makes no fucking sense. We want to be all you can be. So we brought back the jingle. We brought back all this great, tanks and helicopters and shit like that. And here we're gonna finally do it. We're gonna bring it back, and then we're gonna Jonathan Majors, and he's gonna get fucking picked up on an assault charge and dick the whole thing up. This is, of course, not to take anything away from the victims of that man, but. The army in general at the moment is kind of in a is batting, got a pretty low batting average. They're swinging and missing a lot. And sometimes it's not their fault. The Rock, I don't get though. He's like 50. I know, and like I said, I talked to my wife and she's like, look, people want The Rock to run for president. He's got 100 million followers on Instagram. And I'm sure a good portion of those are some kind of bots, but most of them probably aren't. There's a lot of people who know who The Rock is, but I just don't. I'm curious to see how this works because the only way that I know The Rock does, motivation is big scary guy yelling or big calm guy telling you, don't worry, man, you got this, you can do this. Both very useful methods of motivation in the military for sure. So maybe that'll be helpful. I'm curious as to what, like, because who's your target audience? 18-year-olds, right? How many 18-year-olds really, like, how many 18-year-olds really care what The Rock is cooking? I don't know if they do. So we'll see. The army is really just trying to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Of course, everybody's gonna, Nikki Haley it's all wokeness and shit like that. It's not. It's that, it sucks to be in the fucking army. So we'll see. We'll see how The Rock does. The military has been struggling for a long time. The military has been getting a lot of jabronis, let's be honest. And the military needs to end its jabroniness. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to bring in the anti-jabroni, and that is The Rock. Now, why they didn't get a former service member, Marine, the Marine John Cena, from the 2006 movie The Marine, I don't know. I feel like John Cena is probably more relevant, but John Cena is also, I think he's less of a clean-cut figure, honestly. Like, he is very, like, kids love him, obviously. Kids love him in the wrestling. All the kids, my daughter saw him once and was just like, that's it, John Cena, I'm a John Cena girl. I'm like, there's so many other people there's so many other people. No, John Cena. Maybe she imprinted on him, as one of the, I doubt that was the first wrestler I showed her. I'm sure that God, who did I? No, I probably showed her John Cena because, let's be honest, kid favorite there. But if you watch his other stuff, now that he's not really wrestling anymore and he's doing movies, The Rock is doing the Disney stuff while John Cena is doing Peacemaker, which, if you've seen Peacemaker, that is not Disney whatsoever. So the John Cena's kind of got his own thing going on, which I admire. That he is breaking from the clean cut thing to go do his own thing. I admire. I don't give a shit. It's John Cena. He can do whatever he wants. But I feel like if you're going to get somebody, you should get a guy who actually played a Marine. Now, you could get a guy who was a Marine, and that's St. Louis native Randy Orton. But Randy Orton did not stay long in the Marines. I don't know if he actually finished basic training. I think he got kicked out for failure to integrate. And now he gets slammed around as a wrestler. And you know what? Hey, the military is not for everybody. I'm certainly not going to sit here and say, Randy Orton, you're a bitch for not getting through Marine boot camp. He wanted to do something else. He was already the son of Cowboy Bob Orton. Like, he was already a legacy wrestler. Why he joined the Marines, I'm not sure. Maybe to prove something to himself, maybe to piss off his dad. I don't know. He's a North County kid, man. Like, and if you're speaking to the St. Louisans right now, I'm a North County kid. I grew up in Normandy, Ferguson. He grew up in Hazelwood. There's just something in the water out there that makes us fucking weird. He became a wrestler. I became a podcaster. Everybody else I know is kind of weird from North County. It's like, it's not necessarily like there's a lot of radiation in the water, but there's just enough, right? Just a little enough. Which actually is kind of a bad joke because there is a lot of nuclear waste under parts of North County. And an underground fire. Don't we love the world that we built for ourselves? All right, finally. U.S. and Venezuela swap prisoners. Maduro ally for 10 Americans, plus fugitive contractor Fat Leonard. So there's been a lot in the news with Venezuela and its neighbor Guyana, found some oil was found, and Venezuela's like, that's our oil, and I don't care what you say, that's going to be our oil. That's a whole regional thing that I'm not going to touch. I don't know enough about it, and it's not worth going into at the moment. But something that we did do is we did a prisoner exchange. So we had one person who we picked up, a Venezuelan that we picked up, and we got 10 people back. And of course, people are like, it's, terrible. We shouldn't. No, nobody likes giving away our prisoners to get other prisoners back. Every Republican hates it for some reason. Just like, no, you're in prison, you should be there. Especially in like Venezuela. We did this with Brittany Griner, who got arrested in Russia. And we absolutely needed to bring her. that was Russia obviously doing some fuckery. So yeah, we traded a guy, we got her back. That's fine. That is how this works. This is how warfare has always worked from the beginning of time. You see, the thing is that you capture and you ransom the people who are worth money, right? And then you just kill the people who aren't. Now, outright killing somebody in 1122 probably is fine. 1066 battle, you can go ahead and execute all the peasantry that is out there with pikes, sure. But, 2022, 2023, we can't get away with that anymore, which is why North Korea kicked that dude back over and was just like, nope, not worth it, not keeping him. We don't want it. We don't want that smoke. We don't want anybody looking at us. He knows nothing. He sees nothing, and we don't want him. So they kicked him over. Didn't even ask for anything. Just like, fucking get him out of here. So this Venezuela prisoner exchange is very funny because we get Fat Leonard back, and Fat Leonard is a contractor who was at the center of like all of this, a lot of bribery, a lot of Navy flag officers doing blow and banging prostitutes, which that's again part war, Navy, prostitutes, yeah, that makes sense. But like you can't do it to the way that these guys are doing it now. You can maybe 1700s you can get away with that, but you can't do it now. So that dude fucking fled, and I was surprised that he got away. And I was always wondering if we were going to get him back. And I think Carrie and I talked about Fat Leonard maybe last year. I don't think he's even been gone for more than a year, but we talked about all the the sting operations and bringing the guy down and everything, and how they had to do all this. Go find that one. You can get more of the information, the news, things like that on what was happening there. But I will say also, so if you remember the motherfuckers from Silver Corps, these guys. So the Operation Gideon. Yeah, so Operation Gideon was when, let's see, this was 2020. Let me bring up the Wikipedia on this because this was one that was very funny, and we had a very good time on Twitter during all of this. This was like we were in the grips of COVID. This is May 2020, so like we were all in a place of like, oh God, what the fuck is happening? Are we all going to die? So thankfully, a handful of dipshits tried to invade Venezuela in Operation Gideon, an unsuccessful attempt by the active coalition of the Venezuela International Reserve, Venezuela dissidents, and private security firm Silver Corps USA to infiltrate Venezuela by sea and remove Nicolas Maduro from power. If you can remember, during this time also, there was like another guy, I can't remember his name, Juan Guaido, I think, who was very much like, no, I'm the president, and America's like, this guy's the president of Venezuela, and it's like, cool, why is he constantly in America, and why is this other guy in charge of Venezuela? So it's always a game of chess, I suppose. So these guys went down there. They got caught with a bunch of guns that didn't work by some Venezuelan fishermen, I believe. And this guy right here ended up peeing, and the pee ran up to his face because he was on a incline. That's one of the guys. So these guys were privately contracted to go and fucking take out Maduro. This is some I played too much Call of Duty bullshit, right? This kind of underground, movement, and we're going to go and we're going to, stop this and kill these people and, do a coup and whatnot. That does happen, to be sure, but not in a Tom Clancy spy kind of way. It happens in usually the dumbest ways possible. Sometimes you just you turn left when you should have turned right, and all of a sudden there's an angry mob in front of you, and your head is being removed from the rest of you. It happens. So these guys, absolute worst fucking thing here. But I really I want to know what's going to happen, guys. If you're watching, or if you out there know any of these guys, see if they want to come on to the podcast. I will not make too much fun of them. I'll make a little bit of fun of them because this is very funny. But I really want to know what was going through the mindset here. I want to know what they thought was going to happen. like what the plan was, because there had to be a plan. And it got dicked up on like step 2. Step 1 was get to Venezuela. Well, shit. I mean, they didn't really even get to Venezuela. They got captured before they got to Venezuela. Step 1, get to Venezuelan waters. They managed that. Step 2, get to Venezuela non-waters. That's where they kind of fucked up. They eventually got there, but was zip tied. So it doesn't really count. So those guys are back. We'll see how that goes. Come on to the show if you want. So that's the news. That's kind of what what I've seen happening over the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of things going on, and I've got some good interviews lined up. So we're going to get some more stuff, but let's go on over to our next segment. All right, New Year's resolutions. I don't normally do resolutions. I'm not really doing them this year. What I am doing is understanding that when I have an opportunity to break a habit, I only need 7 days. If I have 7 days where I am not doing a thing, I can break that habit. I can, one of the ways that I quit smoking was I had to break out of all the habits that I would smoke. Smoke in the car, smoke after a meal, things like that. You have to break those habits first, and then you can kind of weed them away. So I had 10 days off in between Christmas and New Year's, so that's a good time to reset things. And I was very sad and maudlin to go back to work today, but at the same time, I am excited to do new things and kind of get back to, I'm wanting to be better, wanting to expand the store. My wife is going to be doing more handmade stuff. We're actually going to start doing conventions, like some of the bigger conventions around Missouri and St. Louis. Just kind of seeing what we can do. We like doing conventions. There really are people. They're a bunch of fucking weirdos, but like in an endearing way, usually. I don't know. It just makes me feel like being around nerds that are not ashamed of it and don't have to be ashamed of it really makes me feel more comfortable, because I am always uncomfortable in my own skin. Being comfortable with myself is something that has only really happened in the last couple of years, and a lot of that was the breaking of a lot of shitty addictions and getting out of the military and being able to really enjoy my time a little bit better. So I am trying to read more books. Of course, I know that's everybody's thing, is to read more books. But the big thing is not necessarily just reading books, but keeping the phone away and not getting dragged into, all of the shit, all of everything that happens. Because it's too easy to just sit on Twitter and doom scroll, and that doesn't and there are times when I know I'm doing it. I know I'm doom scrolling and I just cannot stop myself. So hopefully I've broken out of some of that stuff, and I'm trying to insert better and new things and not necessarily doing all of this nonsense where I'm sad and depressed all the time because I keep reading the news and here's all these things that I can't do anything about. And, accept the things you can't change and change the things that you can't accept, kind of things. I want to do more with this. I want to bring more people on. Again, as always, if you have people you think would be great to have on, let me know and we'll get them on. Also, Nate will be coming back this month, so we're going to be getting a lot more dad content with Nate again, because brand new dad, brand new. He's going to have that man. He's just going to talk straight for an hour with me. I'm going to get in 3 words edgewise, I'm sure, but that's great. He needs that. I think all dads need kind of a dumping ground for a lot of everything that happens in that first month. It's hard. It's daunting. It's very difficult to kind of deal with, and to have an outlet, I think, is going to be good for him. So we'll see. I didn't really have it. I didn't have the podcast I didn't start the podcast till my kid was like a year old already. So I didn't go through a lot of this stuff, and I wasn't documenting that. That was kind of a thing that wasn't I wanted that to be separate from the rest of my life. And now it's all, 7 years on, it's all part of the same thing. It's all molded into each other. So there's going to be some changes there. We're going to be making some other changes to the Patreon. I made some changes to prices in the store as well. Stickers have gone up a little bit, but patches are going to go down. it's all kind of evening itself out. Just because the first of the year is the time when, prices end up kind of fluctuating and changing. But I got plenty of stuff, and I've got stuff on order. I've got some pins on order, and hopefully I've got some good ideas for stickers that are going to be coming in the next couple of months. So look forward to some of that stuff. I wasn't planning on this being the store part of the podcast, but that's fine. We can. It's been, like I said, it's been like a week since I've been doing any of this, so now I'm just like ramping back up into it, back up into posting. I didn't really post a lot because I wasn't at work. I post a lot at work. I wasn't watching a lot of the TV. I was playing Jedi Survivor. I picked that up because it was half off. I guess also I can talk about, I've been playing this game called Dredge on the Switch, which is pretty fun. It's a little fishing game, but with night horrors, Cthulhu-esque kind of night horrors, but also a fun fishing game. So I've been enjoying that. I picked that up from the library. Was at the Central Library, and I saw somebody talking about it on Twitter earlier that day. So I picked that up, and it's nice. Also, a reminder to you, your library has Nintendo Switch games. You don't always have to buy things. You can try it out on there first. I'm still waiting for the Mario Wonderland, whatever, elephant fetish Mario that there is. I have a couple of nephews who have already played through it, but I don't talk to them. I don't see them enough to like start borrowing their video games, unfortunately. So we'll see. That should that should be coming up soon. So a couple books that I am reading. I don't know if these are really going to count for 2023, or I'm sorry, 2024, but I wasn't keeping track of books, and I don't think I'm going to, because like I read a book like this is the idea of books by how many that you've read, like starts to beg the question of like when, and this is just for me because I'm neurotic. But like, what counts as a book read? Do graphic novels count? Because sometimes I'll sit and I'll read, 5 or 10 graphic novels in a row, or is the entire series that counts? With Moscow 1812, this is a big book. There's a lot of information, and it's very accessible. I will say, Joe recommended this. I'm not trying to become a Napoleon guy, but I am interested in various parts of history. I don't know shit about Napoleon. I watched the Napoleon movie and was even more confused about Napoleon after that. So I know nothing about Napoleon. Joe, what's a good book that I can read? He suggested this about the march into Russia, which is very interesting. It's got a lot of political intrigue and things like that, if that's what you're into. But it's a thick book. There's a lot going on in here. And sometimes I only have like 10, 20 minutes of reading that I get in during the day. I'm trying to cram more into it. Like my wife is doing a lot better at it. I'm very jealous of her, and I'm trying to get on her level with this, where she wakes up. And look, we live a charmed fucking life. I understand that. So I understand this is not for everybody. We both work at home. She has a very flexible schedule. Our daughter, we homeschool. So everybody has a very flexible schedule. So I understand that this is not for everybody. But, she wakes up and she reaches for her book, reaches for her water, and she'll read for, a good 20 or 30 minutes before getting out of bed. That's great. And sometimes they'll do homeschooling in bed too, take math books in there and do some homeschooling, especially when it's really cold. Again, I understand we live a very charmed life. But there's, sorry, lost my train of thought. So Moscow 1812 is a book that I'm trying to read more of. I'm trying to be like my wife and reach for the book rather than reaching for my phone. I have a tablet, actually, that I don't have any social media stuff on. It's got all of my, it's an old Kindle Fire that I broke to load regular Android on it because the Fire OS fucking sucks. I swear to God, like, I'm glad that I found it, because I would have just thrown it out the fucking window. Like the Kindle, like you can get books for free. You can get ebooks for free from your library. I tell you this all the time. So if you want to read more books and you got a tablet, get a library card, download Libby, download Hoopla, get those things, read books. If you are military or ex-military, you have a DoD number. There is a DoD MWR library that is like 3 times bigger than my library. So there's a lot of stuff out there that you can read. So I'm trying to reach for that more often, but you get busy and you get dragged into things. And, unfortunately, a lot of my business is on Twitter. So I have to be on Twitter, and I try not to use that excuse to just scroll, but like, it is hard when it's like, okay, I'm going to get onto Twitter to reply to this message I know I have. And then fucking 20 minutes later, I'm finally replying to the message. So, we can't all be perfect, but Moscow 1812, so far, great book. I have not gotten to the war yet. I am like 300 pages in. It is a 1,200 page book according to my Kindle, but there's a lot of bibliography in the back. At least the back like 15% is all going to be sourced. So you can always kind of knock that off of the back end of it. But I read that, but also I'm reading this book. This book I picked up. So we went to the library on sometime in between Christmas and New Year. We went to the Central Library. My daughter loves Central Library. She loves all libraries, but Central Library is very specific because the kid area has these really cool like these like seats that are also kind of artistic, and you can get pretty high up. Like they go up about 8 feet tall, and you can get up there and you can sit and you can put your books up there. Being a kid, I can't do it. I'm not allowed. So we go there, and a lot of times just like, go find, my daughter will just go get a fucking stack of books. She'll squirrel her on up there and she'll put them down and she'll just sit and she'll read books for an hour and a half, 2 hours if we let her. So we did that, and when we were walking through the section, because you got to walk through the fiction section, the adult fiction. Nonfiction is upstairs. So you come down, you got adult fiction, and then you got kids, and then teens. And there's like a podcasting area too. There's like studio where you can. There's podcasting, there's sound rooms that you can do podcasts and you can do music recording in as well. And they have computers that you can do mixing on. So that's really cool that they have that there. I don't go in there because I have the Pod Shack here. But one of the books they had out was this Horror Store. As you can tell, it's kind of a take on IKEA. IKEA does exist in this world. And so the store in question is like an American knockoff that they all work at. I'm about halfway through. And this is a book where, sometimes when you're reading a book and you're like, I just don't really like the book that much, but I'm at least interested enough to know how it ends. But I think I know how it ends, but I don't necessarily like, there are books like when I read The Three Bodies Problem, which if you're into weird mind-bending science fiction, I highly recommend it. Chinese science fiction, man, is just in a world of its fucking own, dude. It's wild. So Three Bodies Problem had 2 sequels after it. I understood maybe about 75% of Three Bodies Problem. I understood I understood basically what was going on in it. I did not understand that there was going to be more that was kind of coming from that. And the end of the book kind of is like, yes, and we're going to ramp up into this kind of war setting. And I wanted no part of that. So what I did is I went to Wikipedia and I read the plot summaries, which are very lengthy, but also much shorter than the actual book. So I get the idea. I get the kind of what the author was going for. I think it's really cool what he did. And I know that a lot of people really love that series. And I would recommend reading it because maybe it'll grip you. I feel no reason to go back and read Three Bodies Problem again, though, even though it was a great book. So Horror Store is a book that I'm not quite there yet because I'm already halfway through it. Like in the time that we were at the library, I blew through half of the book. So it's okay. It's okay enough that I will continue to kind of read it, but it is kind of tropey, and not it's not that great. It's not that great, but it's okay. And it's been a long time since I've come across a book like that. And it's refreshing, honestly. There are so many mediocre like movies and TV shows and things that people love. I mean, think back to like something like Reign of Fire, 2006 Reign of Fire. It had Christian Bale. It had Matthew McConaughey in it. It's a fine dragon movie. We've talked about it on the show. It's competent. It does what it needs. If you want to watch some dragons and you want to watch, these two actors before they were really big, McConaughey and Bale are in their still like weird art house phase in 2004. So they're still, they're still commanding movies like Reign of Fire, which I thought was fine. I've watched it twice. I feel no need to watch it again. But Horror Store, I'm getting through. I do like that every chapter starts with its own like IKEA-like, IKEA-esque furniture or something along those lines. TV stand or something. So, and the furniture design is actually not too bad. It's some of it I would have in my house, I guess. Little mid-century modern, like this one back here. This little shelf. All of these things are in the book. So the couch looks like shit, but I mean every IKEA couch kind of looks like shit. But I like that little display thing there. It's the Kurging. It looks like, I don't know why they still gave it like the dumb, like it's an American store. Give it normal names. I don't know. Maybe they really wanted to dive into the we're not IKEA, but we are IKEA. So anyway, Horror Store. Pick it up at your library. Flip through it. See if you like it. I don't read a lot of horror books myself. I'm not into horror as a genre in general, but this looks more like it's. I'm going to say it's more of a comedy book, I think. It's not that funny, but I think that's what it's kind of going for. Like, we're halfway in, and it's a lot of just like deep introspection and, talking about our feelings and shit like that. I don't think there's actually a ghost in here. They found a homeless man living in it, but not a ghost. So it's weird. It's a weird book. But pick it up, I guess. Pick it up at your library. Get it for free and see if you like it, and then go Venmo the guy $5, I guess, if you read it. I always do feel like every time I read a book that I get from the library, I want to hunt down the author and just be like, what do you get from a book sale? Is it like $2? I'll Venmo you $2. I liked your book. I didn't buy it, though. I don't want to spend $13 for a lump of paper that's going to sit and be a fire hazard in my house. I don't want that. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with books. That's what I'm reading right now. I'm hoping to 1812 is probably going to be a book that I'm constantly kind of chewing at a little bit at a time. I'm going to try to find shorter books, more light books to read. Maybe find some older ones that I really enjoyed. I was for a while reading through all the Redwall books, but I got like 5 books in, and man, all those books are the same. Like, they're really all the same, and they're fun. But I'm not 13 anymore, so those books don't really do it for me. So if you have suggestions for books, you've been seeing what I've been posting in here. So if you've got an idea for a book that you think I might like, post it. Like I said, I'm always looking for ideas, always looking for inspiration, things like that. So, and hey, what are you trying to accomplish this year too? I don't like the idea of like, here it is, January 1st. This is the day that we change things, but it does after the holidays feel like a hard reset back into things. And like, maybe we can get something going. Personally, I gained a lot of weight over the last month and a half. A lot of weight. I gained more weight than is probably healthy for a man my age. And I know why. I was snacking a lot because it was fucking December and there was snacks all over the place. But now I am that middle-aged dad that has to think about like my weight and shit like that. Used to be back in the day I could snack all through Christmas and then all through the rest of winter and then literally all through the rest of the year because I was 25 once upon a time. Can't get away with that anymore. So, trying to get back into into working out, exercising. I am doing old man exercises though, where I'm, worried more about flexibility than trying to get the the deep bends and get the heavy weights up. I want to get out of bed and not hurt. And, that's honestly, that can be a difficult thing at this age. So, for all of you who are in your 30s, and maybe coming into your 40s, and you're wondering how do I not hurt? How do I prevent hurting in the future? Like, if you're already hurt, I can't help you. But if you generally have free range of motion of your joints and everything, spend 10 minutes. 10 minutes a day, stretching, do some back stretches. Look up Army, PRT, like all the warm-up stuff. Just do the warm-up stuff. Do 5 repetitions of the warm-up stuff. You don't have to do it like just how we do it in position of attention, all that shit. But it's good movement stuff. It gets you moving. It's good flexibility. It'll have you bending your knees. It'll have you jumping. It'll have you raising your arms, putting your arms out and everything. And it can take less than 10 minutes to go through. And you'll feel better. You'll get more energy in the morning. Do that. It just really gets everything going. Like, nobody likes the waking up and having to wake up at 6:30 in the morning and do PT, but also nobody can really deny that, like, after PT, you feel pretty good. You get those endorphins going. So do that little bit. Go look up the PRT, or go look up some stretches or something. Do all of that. That will prevent you from what I had for a good couple weeks, which was a shooting pain up the back of my skull right here on the right side, because my right shoulder is kind of fucked up, just because I'm 40 and my body's falling apart. I'm right-handed, so throwing, catching, all the stuff I do is with this arm, and there was some kind of impingement. I don't know what, but for a good week and a half, I just had shooting pains coming up there, and stretching and getting the shoulder, like, first thing in the morning. Before I do anything, get up and I sit on the bed and I roll my shoulders a couple times, just because I know that's the first thing that I need to work loose. So, look, I can't keep your body from falling apart, and neither can you. But you can do things where at least it doesn't hurt as much when you're falling apart, and that's the real goals that you should all be working for. So, that's the podcast for today. I think I was a little rambly today. I'm kind of excited to have some new things going. Like I said, I would love any suggestions that you have. You can comment on the YouTube. You can email at sergeantjoker@hellofawaytodie.com. So anyway, shoot me your messages. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you want in bonus content. Tell me where we should get our next our next show from, or tell me to go to hell. One or the other. As long as we are have an open and going dialogue, I think that we're going to do great. So thank you so much, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.